So from now until Veterans Day, I've ordered the flags at the White House and other federal buildings to be flown at half-staff. This is a modest tribute to those who lost their lives, even as many were preparing to risk their lives for their country.
President Obama thought he'd be going up to Capitol Hill today to make that final push for health care on the House side, and sometimes events overtake even the president.
A pause in politics, but just a pause. Still a busy weekend ahead on the Hill. Top Line starts right now.
Hello and welcome to ABCNews.com's Top Line. I'm David Chalian.
And I'm Rick Klein.
Each weekday we're bringing you the very latest political headlines, reporting, insight, analysis, everything you need and want to know about politics.
And be part of the conversation all day long via Twitter. It's twitter.com/thenote. Let us know what you think.
Take us out of the week, sir. What is your top line?
Costs of war, the massacre at Fort Hood dominating politics today. Wondering now, David, if it changes the focus a little bit of the toll of warfare. We're seeing just a stark display, if the evidence we've seen so far is correct, of what it could potentially mean for people coming back from war. And this is just a terrible story. And it comes at a time that the president is dealing with and trying to demonstrate more and more what war in Afghanistan means. And this is it comes at a precarious time for both his left and his right.
He makes that pre-scheduled stop to Walter Reed today as part of, like he did to Dover, sort of his Afghanistan strategy, thinking through what that strategy will be. But he was very careful today in the Rose Garden to say that we shouldn't jump to conclusions yet. We need to know all the facts of what's here before people start jumping to conclusions about motives. Double digits, the latest unemployment numbers out. It finally goes over that psychological barrier, 10.2%. The White House, of course, says it shows how much more work still needs to be done. September, October revised down a little bit. There was some silver lining there. But when you see a number like that, if you're a moderate Democrat and you're being asked to take tough votes right now, that is a troubling number for the White House.
Forget Virginia and New Jersey. This is the big trouble spot that you see in this week, 10.2%. Weekend workers. President Obama will be up on the Hill tomorrow, and the House of Representatives we expect to vote tomorrow as well, although that deadline seems to be slipping just a little bit. The House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer saying just a few hours ago that it's possible that it goes a little bit later than Saturday. We're standing at a point now, they just don't have 218 votes.
An aide out of Nancy Pelosi's office told John Carl that slippage to past Saturday is not yet on the Speaker's agenda. She's hoping to get this vote done, but you heard her yesterday. She says they will have the votes.
Will.
Yes, exactly. And finally today, governors gamble. David Paterson, the wildly unpopular governor up in New York, going up with 2 new ads a year before the election, trying desperately to rehabilitate his image. This is a gamble because it's not clear that the White House has at all changed its position on the fact that they don't want David Paterson to run. I don't know how much time the New York Democratic establishment will allow him to try to goose those numbers. They are so far down, it's hard to imagine that these ads are going to solve that problem for him.
Best part of one of the ads, he says, some people don't think I should run for governor. I wonder where those some people might be.
Exactly. We're going to get into all the politics from this week. We're joined by George Stephanopoulos, our chief Washington correspondent. How you doing? Good. Host of This Week. George, we've had a few days to absorb those results on Tuesday. Clearly, economic anxiety was front and center. And
certainly reinforced this morning.
Certainly reinforced this morning with that number. That was the largest driving force of all those independents to the Republican candidate in New Jersey and Virginia. So how acutely will that now impact Democratic thinking in the health care vote?
I think it's interesting. I think it's already, the Democrats are on the fence on health care, especially in the Senate, although some in the House as well didn't need anything to make them a little more nervous. They're nervous by nature, and they were nervous going in, but this doesn't help. There's no question about that. I think the unemployment numbers today are a particularly bad timing, given the fact that the Speaker had hoped to vote on health care tomorrow. But what's most interesting, I think, coming out of the election to me is its effect on moderates in both parties. You have its effect on moderate Democrats who are worried about health care, but also look at moderate Republicans like Mike Castle in Delaware, Charlie Crist in Florida, Mark Kirk in Illinois, all Senate candidates, all probably the favorites going to the election, now all facing real challenges coming out of it.
And they've got to be careful about how they calibrate their votes between, and now, these are moderate folks, and some of these folks in voting positions like a Mike Castle or a Mark Kirk, you can't imagine them supporting President Obama between now and the election.
No, it's going to be hard for them. You've got, as Michael Steele told you guys yesterday, I mean, it's unclear exactly what he meant, but he said, any Republicans who are voting with the president, he's going to come after them. We'll see if he'll stick by that. I'll be talking to him on Sunday.
Of course, that was the day after that. He took, the morning after the election, he went out on Wednesday and said, we're a big big tent. Primaries are vital.
But
And
this struggle is something that he's going to be dealing with, Republicans are going to be dealing with over the next year, even as Democrats are dealing with this huge problem in the economy.
A rare Saturday vote we're seeing now on health care. We hope maybe a Sunday vote, maybe a Monday vote. We don't really.
For me, I want it to be either very late Saturday, early Sunday
First
morning.
thing
I like
Sunday
news
morning,
on Sunday
right.
morning,
Right
you know?
there. And we saw a couple issues hanging it up, abortion and immigration. Do you have a sense of where they stand now? Are they still hanging the bill up?
Based on my latest reporting from the Democratic leadership in the House, they think they've got this mini revolt over immigration by members of the Hispanic caucus. They think they've got that contained. You know, the members of the Hispanic caucus don't like the Senate bill, which would preclude illegal immigrants from using their own money to buy private insurance in the exchange. Bigger problem right now, still abortion. About 40 to 41 House Democrats holding back their votes on health care because they don't want any public funding on abortion. They say that, and there's a dispute over this, they say that the Capps Amendment, even the Ellsworth Amendment that the White House has been working on, the Democratic leadership has been working on, really don't prohibit public funding of abortion.
So what are they looking, it seems when you read the Ellsworth Amendment or the Capps Amendment that it'll be clear that the funds will be separate. They will not have federal
but their
funds.
argument is money is fungible. I mean, you just can't do that. They want a strict, absolute prohibition. For example, they want to make sure that at least one, and especially the public option, at least one option in the insurance exchange does not allow funding for abortion.
If there are really 40 of them, it seems like they're going to have to get their way.
That's right. I mean, they've got all the
Well,
cards.
that's the question. We've seen this before, and you know they're led by Congressman Bart Stupak of Michigan, who's just coming back into town. He had a tragedy in his family this week. I think his mother-in-law passed away. In the past, even when he hasn't been mollified, the leadership has been able to peel off a few of his allies before the final vote. My guess is that it's still likely to happen, but I wouldn't rule out the possibility that they're going to have to tweak this Ellsworth Amendment one more time.
Can they do this with just 218, or are they really going to look to have more of a resounding victory?
It's a very good question, because I think one of the reasons they may move to actually change the Ellsworth Amendment and try to bring on and try to have a stricter prohibition on funding is because they would like to have a little bit of a cushion. They don't want to squeak by here, you know, leaving the vote open for 3 hours, twisting that final arm and getting 218. I think they would like a cushion of 10
And
to 20
campaign
votes.
ads against every one of those folks would be the deciding vote on health
I
care.
remember very, very well 1993. Marjorie Margolis-Mezvinsky of Pennsylvania was the deciding vote on the Clinton health care plan in 1993. She was targeted from the minute she made that vote. She didn't return to Congress.
And of course, that cushion would also be helpful in conference, going into conference, because if you're doing this with razor thin, 218 or something, you know, conference becomes that much trickier, right?
That's true, although this bill's going to have to move towards the Senate, assuming a Senate bill gets out sometime before Christmas.
Tee us up for Sunday. You've got Michael Steele and
Steele and Kane, we're going to have them debate everything we just talked about right here, coming out of the election, the unemployment numbers, health care. We also have a great roundtable. We're going to have George Will, Sam Donaldson, and Cokie Roberts, the old gang, is back, and they're going to be joined by our dueling strategists this week are Donna Brazeau for the Democrats, Frank Luntz for the Republicans.
Fantastic. George Stephanopoulos, everyone will be tuning in on Sunday. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, George.